Welcome back. First, I apologize that I've got some of those star patches on my face. I've got some blemishes that are kind of hurting me right now. So normally I would not wear this while recording, but I don't know. The health of my skin is more important to me. Sorry that I took so many more days off than I meant to. Yeah, I needed a break, but life just, man, keeps coming and going. So I apologize for it taking me so very long to read chapter 7 of Pax to you. It is the middle of the day, so I apologize if there's some stuff going on out and about, and my dogs get stirred up. Hopefully they don't. Stella is currently going to town on a toy, so hopefully my mic filter is filtering that out. Um, and then I might sip on some coffee because it's delicious, first of all, and I am obsessed with coffee. But also, a friend of mine got me this super cute coffee mug for my birthday. So shout out Bella, my coworker and friend. It's got all these cute little doggies on it and the heart. Oh, so cute. I love it. All right, enough. Chapter 8, chapter 7. Whoops. Of Pax. Let's get started. Pax squirmed in pleasure at the solid warm weight of another's body nestled against his. Half awake, he sniffed to draw the comforting scent of his boy. Instead of human, though, he found fox. He fully woke then, curled against him, snoring, was Vixen's brother. Runt whimpered and flipped his tail over his snout, still asleep. Pax pulled himself up sharply. He had no practice at dominance, but the situation left him no choice. Go back to your den. When Runt tried to nestle into his chest, Pax nipped him on the shoulder. Runt shook himself awake and rolled to his feet. He didn't duck his head in submission, and he made no move to leave. Play, his position invited instead. In other circumstances, Pax would have welcomed the good-natured little fox's company, but he had no interest in tangling with Bristle again. And in fact, he had no interest in anything besides getting back to his humans. Pax fetched the plastic soldier he'd cached and dropped it as an offering, then warned him again to go away. After a final pleading look, Runt took the toy in his mouth. Pax followed him out and watched until he slipped into a hole a few tail lengths away. When the thunderstorm had hit, short but violent, with the whole sheets of sky splitting open in wrathful cracks, Pax had worked his way into the shallow entrance of an abandoned den not far from the one Bristle had shared with her brother before taking measure of his surroundings, now in the pale light of the half moon. He took a moment to survey them. The hillside faced south. Here the roots of the trees seemed to claw at the sandy soil, like the brown knuckles of clenched fists. Tucked among them, Pax saw 3 den entrances. Above the hillside, the forest rose to the north and west, back to the road. Below, a vast grassy valley sloped away. It was an ideal location. The hillside perch provided little cover for approaching predators. While the line of trees protected the foxes from the north winds, the meadow smelled abundantly of life. As Pax took all of this in, a tension deep within him loosened. It was the same way he'd felt as a kit when, after he'd pushed his food dish to the farthest corner of his boy's nest room 3 times, Peter had finally understood to leave it there. Away from the cold north wall, and with the view of the door where the father entered, sometimes in anger, safe. But this place was not for him, was not safe for him. Bristle had warned him that in this same meadow lived an older fox and his mate. He was already facing a challenger from outside and would not tolerate the presence of another lone male. And just then Pax saw a movement below him. A broad-shouldered alpha with black and gray fur emerged from the bush halfway down the slope and marked a sapling beside him. The big fox began to groom, but with a paw still to his side, he suddenly pricked his snout into the breeze. Pax bolted up the hill and plunged into the forest overgrowth. He picked up his own scent easily, although it had rained hard, stopping only for quick licks of water from the leaves. He followed it back to the road. There, Pax caught the lingering scent of the military transport caravan from the day before, but no other traffic had passed since then. He settled himself on the fallen oak trunk again to wait. Morning brought the shimmery buzz of insect clouds. Ooh, insect clouds. That does not sound pleasant to me. And the chatter of waking birds. But still no traffic sounds on the road. As the sun rose hot and dry, it burned off the rain droplets that had hung from every green shoot. Pax was aware of his hunger now, but his thirst was worse. He'd had nothing to drink since leaving his human's house. His throat was parched and his tongue swollen and thick. He felt dizzy whenever he shifted his position. 100 times a thin scent of water drifted past him, but he never considered abandoning his post or its promise. His humans would come back here. He dug his claws into the wood and strained for the sound of a vehicle on the silent road. An hour passed, and then another. Pax dozed and woke and remembered. And then the wind brought news of something approaching. I need a sip of water. Always gotta have a water and something fun like a coffee. Just how I am. The fox, the same male he'd seen earlier. I'm sorry if I read this paragraph. The one Bristle had warned him about. The fox's gait was deliberate, showing neither hesitation nor wasted energy. The way his grayed coat draped his frame announced that he was old. As he drew close, Pax saw that even his eyes were clouded gray with age. After offering his scent, Gray settled himself on the grass beside the fallen trunk. He made no move to elevate himself, indicating that he meant no threat. You carry the scent of humans. I lived with them once. They are approaching. A sudden hope rejuvenated Pax. Have you seen my boy? He described Peter. But Gray had not seen humans at all since the time he had lived with them in his youth. And that was in another place, a dry, stony land of long winters and low sun, distant. The approaching humans are coming from the west. They are bringing war. The crows who have seen them do not describe any youth. The news weakened Pax. He swayed and nearly lost his grip on the trunk. You need water. Follow me. Pax hesitated. His humans could come at any time, but his need for water was urgent. Is it nearby? Can I hear the road from this water? Yes. The stream passes beneath the road. Follow me. Gray's manner, confident but not threatening, calmed Pax. He dropped from his perch and followed. Soon they came to a deep gash in the earth, from which rose the scents of water and of things that grew in rich mud. Pax peered over the edge and saw a silver brook, studded with black stones, glinting between green reeds and purple blossoms. Gray began to angle down cautiously. Lured by the scent of water, Pax scrambled past him, straight down the cut. Halfway there, he lost his footing and skidded the rest of the way. When he righted himself, he stared. The water tumbled past him as if from a vast faucet, larger by far than even the sprout that poured water into the great white tub his boy bathed in. I struggle sometimes with how this writer writes, and that's not anything against the writer. It's just me learning their cadence, their voice. He dipped his head. The water was cold and tasted of copper and pine and moss. It rushed into his mouth as if it were alive. It stung his teeth and drenched his mouth and throat. He drank, and he didn't step away until his belly was taut, however you pronounce it where you're from. Gray joined him, drank, and then invited Pax to rest with him. Pax cocked his head and listened intently to the still, silent road above the culvert. I must be at the road when my humans come for me. Gray eased himself to the ground and stretched out. That road was blocked yesterday by the war sick. Pax thought back to the vehicles that had passed the day before, the ones that smelled like his boy's father's new clothing. It was true that the road had been unused since then, but it didn't matter. My boy will return for me there. No. The crows report this. The road is closed. Pax paced from stone to stone, thrashing his tail as he worked the puzzle. The answer came. I will go to my boy at our home. Where is your home? Pax circled, to be sure, although there was no question. He felt the pull of his home strongly, from only one direction, south. Gray did not seem surprised. There are vast human colonies there. When the warsick arrive here, my family will have to move nearer to those colonies or go north into the mountains. Tell me about the humans there. How they are to live beside. Again, the old fox's comportment soothed Pax. He came back and sat. I have seen many from a distance, but I only know two. Are they false acting, like the ones I knew? Pax did not understand. Gray rose to his haunches, agitated, and shared the behavior he'd seen. A human turning away a starving neighbor, acting as if there was no food in his larder when it was full. A human feigning indifference to a mate she'd chosen. A human enticing a sheep from its flock with a soothing voice and then butchering it. Your humans do not do these things? Immediately, Pax thought of the boy's father pulling him from the car, his voice mimicking a sense of regret Pax knew was false by the burst of lie scent he'd given off. He turned back to the brook. As it spilled over a pair of stones, the current split and then reunited in a liquid silver braid. Pax was struck by a memory. They like this story. Maybe not so much. Story time. Not long after his boy had rescued him, when he was still a skittish kit, a stranger had come to the door. Pax had watched him from under a table as his boy's father had greeted a woman with a long silver braid streaming over one shoulder. His smile showed all of his teeth, which Pax had come to understand meant, Welcome, I am glad to see you. I wish you no harm. But beneath the smile, the man's body was rigid with anger and fear. Pax had been confused by this fear. The small woman was projecting nothing but kindness and concern. She kept repeating the word Pax had already come to associate with his boy, Peter. In a pleading tone, though, the man's full teeth welcome smile remained frozen in place, but the room had flooded with the bitter scent of deception as he answered her. His chest had puffed out in threat as he shut the door hard against her. Pax turned to the older fox. I have seen it. Not in my boy, never in him, but it is true of his father. The old fox seemed to age as he took this in. With visible effort, he rose to his haunches. Are they still careless? They were careless when I lived with them. Careless? They plow a field, and they slaughter the mice living there with no warning. They dam a river and leave the fish to die. Are they still careless that way? Once, when Peter's father was about to cut down a tree, Pax had watched Peter climb it to take down a nest and move it to another tree. On cold days, Peter brought fresh straw to Pax's pen. Before he himself ate, he always made sure Pax had water and food. My boy is not careless. The old fox seemed relieved by this news, but only for a moment. When war comes, they will be careless. What is war? Gray paused. There is a disease that strikes foxes sometimes. It causes them to abandon their ways, to attack strangers. War is a human sickness like this. Pax jumped to his feet. The war sick? They will attack my boy? War came to the land where I lived with my humans. Everything was ruined. There was fire everywhere. Many deaths, and not only of the war sick, the adult males, children, mothers, elders of their own kind, all the animals. The men who were sick with the disease spilled their chaos over everything in their path. This same thing is coming. Gray raised his head in a howl that turned the air itself to sadness. West of here, where the war is already, where the humans are killing each other, the land is completely ruined. The crows carry the news. The rivers are dammed. The earth is scorched bare. Not even briars will grow. Rabbits and snakes, pheasants and mice, all creatures killed. Pax leapt to the path. He would find his boy before this war came. Gray followed. Wait, I will travel south with you to search for a new home. Follow me back first. Back to the meadow? No. The vixen warned me not to return. The vixen will never welcome you because you have lived with humans. Pax then caught a quick flash of the same scene he'd watched pass between the vixen and her brother, a cold, howling wind, a mated pair of foxes in great distress, a cage of steel clamps, blood-staining snow, and then, abruptly, nothing. But she's not dominant. Follow me back. We will rest and eat, and then leave tonight. Ooh, that was an intense chapter. Definitely setting the story up to get heavier. I hope that Peter's doing okay. We haven't heard an update since last time. I left you on quite a cliffhanger with that. Well, the book did. I hope he's doing all right. He's all alone with a broken leg, I believe, and right now Pax is waiting another day to try to go find him. So hopefully somebody or something kind finds Peter. I'm kind of worried about him. I don't know about you guys. But I'm glad that Pax now has a friend that he seems like he can trust and is a good traveling partner. I do have some questions for you, of course, about the chapter. Chapter 7. Why was Pax insistent that Runt go back to his own den? What did it say in the story? Why did he not want Runt by him in that moment? My second question is, why was Gray accepting of Pax's presence, even willing to help him? So it does seem kind of out of the blue, but there are hints and clues in our story that will tell you why Gray most likely accepted Pax as a traveling companion. Pax and Gray have different reasons for traveling south. Ooh, good question. What are each of their reasons? Why does Pax want to travel south? And why does Gray want to travel south? The reasons, although different, align them on a similar course. So what are their different reasons? Thanks for your patience this week as I get this video out. Thank you to those of you who left me some encouraging comments and let me know you're here in the last video. Promise I wasn't trying to be dramatic or anything. I just was like completely stunned when I got on here to record. I believe it was Monday. And to be honest with you, it just had been one of those days. I opened my computer and I just saw all these comments, which, as I said in my last video, Mr. Keller told me, he was like, those are bots. Okay, I'm a teacher by degree and experience, a dog groomer by trade and certification. Like, I wish I understood technology better. If you've tried to watch my Stardew playthrough, which I've only done 2 episodes of because I went back to watch them, and the frame rate is so terribly low, I I can't do that on a laptop. I don't have whatever it is you need to be able to have to stream and post. I'm sure I'm using the wrong language. Anyway, I'm not an expert in technology. I really wish I knew and understood more, but I don't. So I still don't really understand bots. I don't know where they come from, how they end up on certain videos, but it freaked me out. So anyway, if any bots are in these comments, hi. I'm pretty sure you're not real. I don't know, but those of you who are here for the story, hi, thank you. Rambling on as I usually do, I apologize. Actually, I think I'm gonna go ahead and start a live video here in a second. There was some interest from my former students. I have some children's books I'm gonna peruse through here sitting next to me. I'm gonna pick one that's kind of shorter today, and then I'll go ahead and start a live. So maybe I'll see you there. I'm definitely gonna be sipping on this coffee some more. Hope to see you there and have a great day. Also, this week, I keep every day seeing more and more just concern for some winter storm that's coming through. If you're like from the middle of the United States and then like to the right and then south, um, please be careful. Oh my goodness. Don't try if the snow and cold gets really bad, please stay home. Make sure you have extra blankets. Make sure you have like flashlights, candles, whatever. Make sure you have plenty of fresh water and food. Just please be safe out there. Yeah. So I'll see you in a little bit with a live video, and I will see you tomorrow for sure with another chapter of PAX. I'm going to stop rambling. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Be safe.